There's a lot of people that love bobbleheads. We're going to get 5,000 bobbleheads out to the first 5,000 through the gates at Hancock Whitney this year.
Who came up with the bobblehead? Was this your team, Jim?
It was. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we're trying to incentivize, man.
I think it's brilliant, man. I think that might be the push to sell out the stadium. The bobbleheads,
I
think
sold
might
Brooks
get it.
for sure. The hustler.
Yeah, I was like,
I mean, he's gonna find a way to find them bobbleheads.
Chris, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Brooks, how's it going, man? Doing good.
I got my hoodie hat on, man. I feel like this is the one time in Mobile where I'm allowed to like wear this professionally on a recording.
I know it, man. You spend all this money on this kind of stuff, and you only get to wear it, one or two times a year. So yeah, you got to take advantage of it.
Because it's doggone 20 degrees outside, like actually 20 degrees or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy to see iced up puddles on the side of the road in Mobile. You don't see that very often.
Exactly, man. We've got a guest that's gonna hop on with us in probably, I don't know, in like 2 minutes. There's a hint on the screen. Reese's Senior Bowl. Do you know who we have on?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got to have the man, Jim Nagy, right?
Exactly. All right, real quick before we hop him on though, that's in 17 days. We got this live countdown timer here going. We'll probably shoot, man. Like maybe we'll just leave it up the whole time while we're chatting. I'm not really sure. We'll let people like literally count down to Senior Bowl, which is kind of cool. Let's see. But this is the 17th. So this weekend, there's a kickoff to Mardi Gras. So there's the King Cake Off on Friday. Us at the Mobile Rundown. It's kind of my 40th birthday party too, but it's mostly the Mobile Rundown's 12th birthday. Doing a silent headphone disco party, man. Never been to one of those, and so I said, "Well, let's just throw a party, man." So we have 100 headphones showing up tomorrow. They're literally in transit as we speak. 100 headphones. We've got 3 DJs. We'll have to ask Jim in a second if he's ever been to a silent disco headphone party. So 3 DJs are going to be playing music. You apparently choose the channel that you want, and you get to hang out, and then we're going to vote whoever our favorite DJ is.
You teased this, and you talked about this months ago.
Yeah,
you made it happen. So I'm excited about this.
So months ago, it was just a dream, man. I was like, I've never been to one of these. How come I've never seen one? Haven't seen one in Mobile. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what? Maybe we could pull this off. Let's pull it off. So anyway, so that's Saturday night. So if you guys have not reserved your headphones, get those. We still do have some left, but as we get closer, it's going to get crazy because we have a list of like guest people, and then I have to like figure it all out. And it's not like unlimited tickets. There's a limited number. So it gets really strange and weird as we get down to the wire, and Mobile likes to wait till the last minute. So that's kind of what they do.
Yeah.
Dude, let's
probably attest to that too.
Let's talk football, man. Let's bring Jim on here. Right. Jim. Hey man. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Jim, have you ever been to a silent disco headphone party? Have you heard of one of those before?
Yeah, I'm not really a silent disco guy. I'm more of like a silent rave guy. I've been to a bunch of silent raves before.
All right. So what's the difference? So is it the same thing? The headphones where you choose the channel?
I'm totally messing with you, man. My rave days are way behind me. Not that I ever had rave days, but no, it sounds cool. The silent disco thing sounds cool.
Yeah, I've seen them. I'm like, okay, that looks goofy, but it kind of looks fun. And so, yeah, we decided to throw one. So Cedar Street, shout out to Cedar Street Social, who's partnering with us. That's the location where we're throwing this party on Saturday. But Senior Bowl, man, apparently 17 days, 1 hour, 52 minutes and 8 seconds. I'm guessing that's until kickoff. Is that until kickoff?
That is until kickoff. Yeah, player arrival is 2 weeks from Sunday, so we're even less than that in terms. Then coaches arrive on Saturday, a week from. When do coaches arrive? Coaches arrive a week from this coming up Saturday. So it's getting real.
Gotcha. Super soon, man. How you've been the director for how many years? Like 7 or 8 years or something?
Yeah, this is my 6th game, man. It's gone really fast.
Time flies, man, when you're having fun. And Mobile, because like me, like I went to the Senior Bowl as a kid. I've been to like pretty beautiful weather days. I've been out there where it's cold and rainy, man, sitting in the bleachers, like watching Senior Bowl. Like it's been going on a long time. I had to look it up. Is it like 1950? Is that the right year?
I don't know the right. This is our 75th anniversary. Don't make me do the math.
I won't. Okay.
This is the 75th anniversary. So yeah, the actual first Senior Bowl was in Jacksonville, Florida, and it didn't do well there. And a group of businessmen from Mobile moved it here 74 years ago. So yeah, it's a big year for us, man. The 75th anniversary, we're bringing back all these legendary players. We did a 75th anniversary team vote. online, and then we did a poll of the 32 GMs in the NFL to come up with the team. And so yeah, we've got 41 guys who are on the team. We've got over 20 of them coming back for Friday night and Saturday at the game. We're going to have a Legends Gala on Friday night at the Battle House, and then we're going to honor those guys at halftime of the game. So should be incredible. It should be like to me the biggest. I don't know if there's ever been a more star-studded event in Mobile, Alabama. I can't imagine. I mean, these guys are all Pro Football Hall of Famers. So I know the Senior Bowl's never thrown anything this big, and I can't imagine the city of Mobile's ever had this kind of star power back in the city at one time.
Yeah,
I'm
man,
excited about that. I went and voted for the 75th team, and I was just kind of voting based on guys that I wanted to see come to Mobile. So yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Has I feel like I don't know what the course, but over in your tenure, I feel like the Senior Bowl has been expanding the amount of like events around the entire Senior Bowl. Like, has that always happened that you know of? From my recollection, it has definitely not, and it's like expanded dramatically with this like concert in the park, parade, like all these events leading up to it.
No, that was part of the goal. That was part of the strategy. Just kind of, be fully transparent. I've told people when I've spoken out in the community groups, I've shared this story before, but I was on the job 3 weeks back in the summer of 18. Our chairman, Mr. Angus Cooper, and I went up to Park Avenue where the NFL League offices are. And again, I'm 3 weeks on the job, man. I'm just off the road, NFL scouting. I'd never sat in a boardroom in my life other than a draft room. And we're up there and, they start the conversation that the NFL is thinking about doing away with the Pro Bowl and the players don't want to play it anymore. And it's not really a feasible event. And they wanted to replace that game with, the best All-Star game, which is obviously the Senior Bowl. And so they wanted us to move the game to Orlando. And I looked at Mr. Cooper and he looked back at me and I just gave me that look. And I said, fellas, we're never going to move this game from Mobile, Alabama. It's part of the fabric of our city. I know everyone down here takes a lot of pride in being the home of Mardi Gras. I mean, I certainly feel like people should take a lot of pride in being the home of the Senior Bowl. And so we've kind of been on a crusade the past 6 years to really grow this event. It would have been a lot easier for the NFL to come in and really affect what we're doing here in Mobile if it was just practices in a game, right? So, I was up in Nashville after my first year doing some draft stuff for ESPN, and Nashville knocked it out of the park, man. They knocked that draft out of the park, and it was a pretty simple formula. It was live music. It was a lot of adult beverages, and I'm like, we got to start doing, some things like that. So that's where we added our Players Mardi Gras Parade, really leaned into our heritage there, and then added the concert. This year, obviously, it's the Counting Crows. We're fired up about. That's a big get for us. So yeah, we're trying to make this game not so much immovable because it's not going to move if we don't want to move it. But there are a lot of things the NFL could try to do to affect us, and not to get into the weeds on that. But yeah, they have tried to affect it. They have tried to affect where we stand in kind of the pecking order of the draft process. They took our coaches last year for the first time in 73 years. So, and we've not only withstood that, we've thrived. We've had over 100 players drafted out of our game each of the last 3 years. And that's never happened. The Senior Bowl's never had 100 players drafted. So yeah, we've been under attack a little bit, and I've spoke about it privately and in different settings when I go out to speak to different groups. But yeah, we've had a lot of challenges these last 5-6 years.
Chris, I'll let you jump in if you got something right now.
Yeah, just can you talk? I know I know Michael Penix Jr. signed up to come. Bo Nix. Who else do we have stars of college football this year coming?
Well, those are obviously two of the faces of college football this year. You don't get any bigger than two of the 4 Heisman Trophy finalists. And sometimes guys are Heisman Trophy finalists, but they're not great pro prospects, right? Like we've seen a lot of guys, Eric Crouch and, guys like that have been great college players that don't necessarily project as pros. These guys are legit first-round NFL draft pick caliber players. So they're big ones, and then there's a ton of SEC players. You never know what level of listener here we have, our audience. I don't know how deep they go in college football, but we certainly have, good players from Alabama like Chris Braswell. Their outside linebacker has the chance to be a first round pick. We've got, 3 defensive backs from Auburn that are all going to be, top 3 or 4 round picks. And 2 of those guys are local. DJ James from Spanish Fort, Nehemiah Pritchett from Jackson, Alabama. We've got 2 players from Troy. Kamani Vidal, who was the Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year and is the great nephew of Hank Aaron, so that's kind of a cool connection to the city. They also had Javon Solomon, who led the country in sacks this year. And then we added Carter Bradley last week, the quarterback from South. It's always good to have a South player in the game, and we've never had a Jags quarterback in the game. So that's a good one. I mean, these are the best rosters. I'm just going to speak to our tenure here over the last 6 years. And again, we've broken a lot of records. We've had over 40% of the last 3 drafts, more than 40% of the last 3 draft classes have all come from Mobile. And this is our best roster. And it should be, because we can bring juniors to the game now. So they should be better. They are better. And I don't expect the average fan to know that, but I think certainly the NFL sees the rosters, and I get calls every day about, how excited the NFL is, come down and see our players. So, it's good to have the local flavor. We've got some other guys. Cedric Johnson from Ole Miss went to Davidson. Chris Abrams-Drain is another Spanish Fort guy, played with DJ James there. So, I know the locals want to see local players in the game. They want to see Bama players, Auburn helmets. We've got all that. And then we've got probably 60 to 70 of the top 100 players in this year's draft.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's what's so incredible, man, is that, you talk about the local guys that are in this game, and it's not like they're not getting like a sympathy invitation because they're local. These guys they're legit. Like a couple of years ago, when you had the 4 guys that were here that were all locals that all went and got drafted. I think that's what's the coolest part of this about having it here in Mobile, is the fact that it's just a showcase of how many local players come through Mobile and end up going to the pros.
Yeah, let me touch on that too real quick. I mean, yeah, a couple of years ago we had the 5 guys go in the top 126 picks of the draft. That was a really good year. But there aren't any sympathy charity invites anymore. Just because your birth certificate says Mobile, Alabama, you're not getting an invite to the Senior Bowl. And I don't mean that to sound cold in any way, but that's when I interviewed for the job. Like, these rosters were imbalanced. There were some guys that did. So it's harder to get. I just use this example. Like, if you're trying to go get Najee Harris from Alabama, or Mac Jones, like legitimate first-round players who we had during the COVID year, if you're trying to get those guys, but you're also inviting, local kids or guys just because they went to Alabama, just because they had a script A on their helmet, but they're lesser players. Like, players know players. Najee Harris and Mac Jones know who the players are in their locker room. So, you got to think, if we're inviting lesser players because of where they're from or what school they're from, we're going to have a hard time getting those really good ones, right? Like, why would Najee come here and play and Mac come here and play if we're inviting guys that, aren't great players at Alabama just because they're from an area or have that helmet? So it's helped us. We wouldn't have gotten Najee Harris and Mac Jones and Landon Dickerson and Devontae Smith. I mean, we had all those guys that year. We would not have gotten them if we were just inviting every kid that had an Alabama helmet in the game. So that's the crux of it. So any of these local kids that get in, they really deserve it.
That's awesome. I should have asked you this early on, because our audience is locally based. Like we're a local media company, right? So there's going to be a varied audience of like hardcore fans and people that are like, what is a Reese's Senior Bowl? So let me actually, I should have asked that in the beginning. Like, explain it like I'm a newbie. Like, what is a Senior Bowl? Just like describe it to that general person.
It is these players' biggest job interview they will have. So we're trying to get the best NFL draft prospects we can. We hitched our wagons to the draft process. We had to do that with the draft. Why wouldn't we do it when the draft is taken off and you've got 58 million people watching the NFL draft every year? Why wouldn't we want to hitch our wagons to that? That's where the slogan, "The draft starts in Mobile," the genesis of that was too. Again, going back to the conversation about us feeling under pressure from the NFL. That's why we threw Mobile in that tagline. Like, we wanted to make the Senior Bowl synonymous with our city. So then if the NFL wanted to come in and affect us, they would be affecting an American community, right? Like, that's where that came from. We were trying to tie the two together. Very similar to like Omaha, where they have the College World Series. Like, everything is Omaha. It's destination Omaha. Like, when you think College World Series, now you think Omaha. So I actually talked to those people that up at the College World Series about that. So it's been effective for us. Like, it really has been an effective tagline for us. So it is. We bring in, the top 140 players in this year's draft. They come down here. We're going to have over 900 NFL coaches and scouts and executives down here. They interview with those guys. They practice in front of those guys. And obviously we put on a heck of a game on Saturday. It is unique in the all-star space, where we actually have a really cool, like, real deal college football Saturday environment out there at Hancock Whitney Stadium. So, our practices are televised on the NFL Network all 3 days. We're on ESPN all 3 days. So this event actually brings more eyeballs to the state of Alabama and our local community than any event that happens year round in the state of Alabama. Unless you count like Alabama and Auburn football games, which, and basketball games. Outside of that, any single event going on in our state, this event through NFL Network and ESPN draws the most eyeballs.
Cool stat. That's cool stat. What would and could the NFL, like, what was their threat? Just to move the game?
No, they threw their weight behind another All-Star game.
Okay.
We've got a competitor All-Star game. They partner with that game. Like they wanted to partner with us. They partnered with that game. They moved it to Las Vegas and paired it with the Pro Bowl game, which was going on out in Las Vegas the last couple of years. And like I said, the one thing that's always made the Senior Bowl different is the full coaching staffs. We would get 2 full coaching staffs from the NFL. Well, they took those from us last year for the first time in 73 years. So last year was a pivotal year. The other game was in Las Vegas, paired with the Pro Bowl. I mean, think about that. Like, think about the sales pitch that game had. They were in Vegas, which is a pretty cool place. They had full NFL coaching staffs, including Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And they had all these NFL stars around to connect with their players during the week. And they still only got 1 player we wanted last year. So that tells you the job that our staff has done for one. Our staff has worked diligently and smartly for 5 or 6 years to really make this the game. I mean, they had the sales pitch. We didn't. We were just leaning on our history in the game we put on in the tradition. And again, it's a lot of relationships. It's my relationships with NFL teams and in the agent community. The agents are the ones that steer these players to the different games. So that was the big year. We got through last year, and now that other game doesn't have the full coaching staffs. Now they have the same thing we have, which we're going to announce later today. We have a collection of coaches from non-playoff teams, which is actually a really, really cool format as well. We've got, rather than just 2 teams be present down here in Mobile on the coaching staffs, we're going to have 16 teams represented. So that's coaches from half the league, basically going back to their team facilities for the next 3 months, sitting in draft meetings, talking about, the behind the scenes stuff that happened here in Mobile. So yeah, that's what the league could do. And that's what they did. I mean, last year was the doomsday scenario for us, was that they take our coaching staffs, they partner with another game, they throw financial resources behind it, and they pair it with a bunch of NFL stars in the Pro Bowl. So, and I haven't made a big issue of that. I haven't wanted to alarm the community that this game was in jeopardy, but I'm just being transparent and real. I mean, we've had a lot of challenges over the last 5 or 6 years.
No, that's good, man. So one of the questions I want to ask is what do it's kind of 2-part, and it's probably related to that. What do folks need to know, or what do you want them to know about Senior Bowl that they get wrong? And then also, what do you want and need Mobile to do, as a community?
We need Mobile to show up on game day. Okay. So for the last 6 years, I have been ad nauseum telling everyone on Park Avenue how important this game is to our community. And it does. Again, economic impact studies can be dated. Our last one was 2000. So that's a long time. That's 9 years ago. 9 years ago, this game was bringing over $30 million to our local economy. Okay, that's a lot of money. If our game got affected, and again, we don't have to move the game, but let's just say we got overtaken by another game, 900 NFL scouts and coaches and executives wouldn't be coming here to see a lesser, if we didn't have 60 of the top 100 NFL players in the draft, they would be sending a skeleton crew down here to scout this game. We wouldn't get. The NFL Network wouldn't be televising our practices. ESPN wouldn't be televising our practices. So all I've been saying is how important this game is to our community, because it is certainly financially. And I do know a lot of people in the community love this game and have great stories about, going to the game as a kid and everything. Well, we can't have half the stadium full on game day. And so far, we have not sold out Hancock Whitney in the 3 years we've been out there, which I thought would be an easy thing. We were moving from Ladd Stadium, which was 40,000 people, down to a 25,000 person stadium. I thought a sellout would be a layup. I mean, we were at 38,500 people our last game at Ladd Stadium, and that had something to do with Jalen Hurts being in the game. He's a great Alabama player, and Justin Herbert at the time was a big name. the star quarterback for the LA Chargers. But, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to fill Hancock Whitney. So, for us to have a leg to stand on with the NFL and to show the importance of what this means, we need to sell out that stadium on February 3rd. And again, it's kind of another tagline. Like, if you support the Senior Bowl, you're supporting your community, because if we keep this game strong, then you're keeping those tens of millions of dollars in our community, at the local downtown businesses, at the hotels. So it all feeds into each other. So again, we have a $15 ticket, man. Like, the Alabama high school playoff games are $11. So we're basically the same. You can't go if you're an average family of 4. You can't go to a game in Tuscaloosa anymore. You can't go to a game in Auburn. Like, they've outpriced, the average fan. I mean, it's impossible to stay overnight. You might be able to drive up there and come back, but you certainly can't stay the night in these college towns on college weekends. So, yeah, we've got a $15 ticket. It's very affordable, and we'd love to see that stadium packed on February 3rd.
All right, I got my tickets. I got my 4-pack, and I got the parking pass to go with it. So I'll be there.
I love it.
Exactly. I was like, consider that charge done. Chris and I will take up extra charge because you gave us an additional push. Like, we're already going to promote it, but now I feel like we'll push extra hard. Jim, is the best spot SeniorBowl.com to snag tickets?
Yeah,
there?
I mean, it's easier than ever, guys.
Okay.
I mean, I remember when I first got here, we were still at Ladd Stadium. We were printing paper tickets in the office and like mailing them out, and people that have to come down here and pick them up. So,
man,
you get them on your phone now and you show up at the stadium. So at least we're in the 21st century now with our tickets. So yeah, we go right through South Alabama's ticketing, and Greg Keel out there at South Alabama does a great job for us and his staff. So yeah, that's the easiest place right there. Click on that link and plenty of good seats available. And I will say this too, one of the cool things we're doing this year in combination with the 75th anniversary, we're going to honor those players at halftime, which will be awesome. But we're doing a bobblehead giveaway. There's a lot of people that love bobbleheads. We're going to give 5,000 bobbleheads out to the first 5,000 through the gates at Hancock Whitney this year. I think we've got 1,000 Sean Alexanders, 1,000 Cornelius Bennett's, 2 big Alabama players, DeMarcus Ware from Troy, the former Dallas Cowboy, great Hall of Famer, and then Dan Marino and Aaron Donald. So I know there's a lot of collectors out there of the bobblehead thing. Randy Kennedy, who I do a weekly sports show with on his iHeart station, he's a big bobblehead guy, and he said, Jim, you should sell it this way. You show up to the Senior Bowl, get your free bobblehead, and then go on eBay, and you'd actually, if you bought a $15, $20 ticket, you're going to make money by going to the Senior Bowl this year by flipping your bobblehead on eBay. So really, there's a lot of reasons to go out to the game. Good football for one, seeing all these future NFL stars. I mean, just even last weekend during Wild Card Weekend, all these guys, Rashee Rice and Puka Nacua. I mean, all these guys were in our game last year, and they're going off in the NFL playoffs. So it's always cool to be able to see you saw those guys in Mobile before they blew up in your fantasy league. We're just trying to give the fans as many reasons to come out on game day as possible.
Who came up with the bobblehead? Was this your team, Jim?
It was. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we're trying to incentivize, man.
I think it's brilliant, man. I think that might be the push to sell out the stadium. The bobbleheads.
Yeah, you just sold Brooks for sure. The hustler.
I was like,
I mean, he's gonna find a way to find them bobbleheads.
I'm gonna find a way to get multiple bobbleheads. I'm gonna leave and come back in, man. I'm like, how can I collect these bobbleheads? No, great idea, Jim. I think it's a great idea.
Hey, Jim, I got a 9-year-old son that's obsessed with meeting players, getting autographs. Give me like a secret tip. What's the best thing for me to do?
Well, a couple things. I don't think this hasn't caught on yet. We have so many things to promote during the week. It's hard to get it all in there. We have the Players Mardi Gras Parade. For a while, the first couple of years we did the Players Mardi Gras Parade, there wasn't actual Mardi Gras wasn't happening. So we would have our own kind of standalone parade, but now we're going, I think it's in front of the Incas this year on Friday night before the game, February 2nd. And they will parade from the Riverview Hotel down Royal Street, past the Battle House, and then we bang a left on, I think that's St. Francis. I don't know what street that is. But our players basically have like a 5 or 6 block route that they go. And they sign 20 autographed footballs when they get to Mobile. That's part of their registration. And so they're going to be throwing you whatever you do, 140 players times 20. What is that? 2,800 autographed footballs are being thrown in about a 5-block radius. So lots of autographs there. And then at the stadium thing, something we do, we call it the path to the draft. We're parking the buses on the big jumbotron side of Hancock Whitney Stadium. We're parking the buses. This will be the third year we've done this. We park the buses a good way away from the stadium. We barricade it, and we kind of red carpet it, and we encourage all our players to stop and sign for the kids and take pictures on their way into the stadium, which is 2 hours before game day. So this year we're kicking at noon this year. We moved our kick time up to, kind of facilitate, people getting downtown for the Mardi Gras parades. So that means this path to the draft where these guys will be available will be at 10 a.m. at Hancock Whitney Stadium.
All right, that's good to know.
Good tips. That's good tips. Jim, I just heard recently you went to Michigan and your wife went to Alabama. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a little house divided on that CFP semifinal game.
Yeah, I was gonna say y'all had a probably intense household for that one.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. We were, towards the end of it, she was secretly pulling for Michigan because she wanted, not in that Bama game, but in the next one, we hadn't won a championship in 26 years, so it's a little different for us than you Tide fans down here.
Totally. Yeah. Speaking of Tide, I think Chris wanted to bring that up. Any thoughts on the kind of like what's going on at Alabama and coaching transition? Just kind of thoughts from your end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great hire. I don't know Kalen DeBoer very well. I've shared this a lot in the media the last week. I mean, I actually reached out to Kane Womack over the summer. I knew Kane and Kalen were good friends, and I knew we were going to try to get guys like Michael Penix in the game. We've got a number of Washington players in the game this year. So I just asked him, like, what's Kalen all about? And he said then that Kalen's one of the, top 3 human beings he's ever worked with. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty strong statement. So
Wow.
I've told a lot of Alabama fans, you're at minimum getting a really good person to root for. You don't have some scumbag coach up there that you don't want to root for, but you have to root for. You've got a good guy, and he's won everywhere he's been. So why, he won 10 games. He won a bunch of national championships at a small school level. When you're coaching 0 stars against 0 stars, it's not like at Alabama where you've got a bunch of 5 stars and you're playing Vanderbilt and Kentucky and some of these schools with 2 and 3 stars. I mean, you got to coach your butt off at that small school level, and he did that. And then he wins 10 or 11 games his first year at Fresno State, gets the UW job, takes them to the national championship game. So I don't know how you can argue the guy's not a good football coach. And then just through Kane, I know he's a really good guy. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they're going to do up there. And I'm really sad to see Kane go from South Alabama. I went up there yesterday. I went up there yesterday after the team meeting to see him. He and I have gotten really close. I consider him a good friend now. I told him, I said, sad day for the city of Mobile, man. He's done a lot for Mobile, for that Jags program, but really happy for he and his wife, Melissa, and their boys. I mean, that's a great opportunity to go up there and do that with a buddy. Like, I think that's everyone's like dream job in football. If you work in football, is to like get with a couple guys that you're really close with and build something together and hopefully win championships together. I know that would be a dream for me, work in the NFL with a couple guys I'm really close with and put together a Super Bowl winning team. And so I'm happy for Kane, really happy for Kane.
That's great, man. Chris, if you have a final question, well, I'll let you ask something and then we'll let Jim go.
No, that's it. I mean, that was all I got, man. That's all I wanted to ask about the players and, how we can meet the players and definitely, get your thoughts on the best players that are going to be here in this game.
And I would say you can always go to practice too, man. These guys make themselves really accessible after practice, walking in and out of the tunnels and whatnot. Obviously, the fields are closed off for safety purposes. We can't let fans flood the field. But I'll say this: if you haven't been to a practice at Hancock Whitney, like that's got a vibe to it too.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's been a game changer from Ladd Stadium. I mean, the practice with the jumbotrons and the LED ribbons and the music. I mean, you walk into the stadium even for a practice, we got practice parties going on in the end zones with our sponsors and there's a real vibe to it. So yeah, if you want to bring kids out to practice, our guys, I encourage all those guys to kind of walk the perimeter of the field after practice and sign for people. So it's another opportunity.
That sounds fun, man. Well, is there any final thing that we didn't touch on that you'd want to hammer on one more time, or do you feel good?
No, just appreciate the community and what everyone does. And we try to give back throughout the year with all these different initiatives we have, from our flag league to the Turkey Bowl thing. We have a Turkey Bowl event we do over Thanksgiving. We've got a program now where we're giving, 13 local high schools $5,000 a year for equipment. So we're really trying to give back as much as we can. And we just, we want everyone to enjoy Senior Bowl week. That's why we've got all these different events. I would love to see a packed show for the Counting Crows. Last year's Nelly concert was, you couldn't move down there. It was awesome. It was a really cool night downtown Mobile with a really diverse crowd. Hope to see another group down there on Saturday night after game day. So no, I appreciate you guys having me on. I don't get a chance to have a big audience like this, a big local audience. So appreciate you guys having me on.
100%, man. Well, 5,000 bobbleheads. I feel like we're going to sell out the stadium. People be the first 5,000, get your bobblehead. And we have 17 days, 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 40 seconds until kickoff. And stick around for just a second. We'll let everybody else, they can watch this next video, and we'll appreciate you being on.